Now time to narrow our conversation down to the sub-national this morning. I mean, let's shift the focus away from the federal government for a second and look at what the sub-nationals are doing. Virtually, I mean, most of the governors in office today are essentially those who became governors in 2023. So they've already done a little over 2 years in office. But in the case of Edo State, it's a bit peculiar. Of course, Edo State has an off-grid election, which happens usually around September every other year. And that has been the case since after Shumale became governor in 2008. So for a gentleman like Senator Monday Okpebholo, who has only been in office now for essentially about 10 months, it's only natural that all eyes are on him, all eyes are on the state, all eyes are on the quality of governance that he has been providing in the state. Just this morning, I mean, if you look at major newspapers, you realize that there's a big story there talking about the transformational or transformative policies or reforms that the government is introducing into a very critical sector, which is education. Of course, we all know, like Ramsey, my colleague, and I also agreed on the program this morning, that education is supposed to be the fulcrum, that is the pivot of development, especially in this day and age. But there's one, no longer an elephant in the room, but more like a recurring decimal in the narrative of Edo State, the immediate past governor, Godwin Obaseki, who has now become more like the proverbial, as they say, tortoise that never stops featuring in stories. Obaseki was governor for 8 years, obviously, and the man had talked about all of the things he had done for the state, from reforms in the civil service to Edo Best, Edo Jobs, and several other initiatives he had rolled out to be able to drive the state from where he met it by the time he got into office on the 12th of November 2016. But as of today, it will appear the APC is not buying any of that, because we have seen both the governor and those in this government, as well as by extension supporters of the APC and Governor Okpebholo in Edo State and outside of Edo State, continually railing against Obaseki and what ought to ordinarily have been his legacy in that state. This morning, I'm joined by a politician, public affairs analyst, and a member of the APC who has never been unequivocal about his support for Governor Monday Okpebholo. Haruna Braimoh, is a delight to have you on the program today.
And Chief.
Okay. Hi, Chief Haruna Braimoh. Thank you for coming on Global Morning.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to talk to you about this. Incidentally, this morning when I saw the headline, I've not read the story, quite frankly, about the governor and his new moves regarding education in the state. The first thing that crossed my mind was Edo Best, which the former governor Obaseki had introduced. You have also railed against that here. You talked about the $75 million that the Edo state government under former governor Obaseki had secured from the World Bank, and what we have on the ground is far from commensurate with that amount of funding that was secured at that point in time. I mean, politicians have always been essentially the same old kind of guys. What is Governor Okpebholo doing differently in education this time, considering what Obaseki had done?
No, good morning, Uyi, again.
Good morning.
I think the question should be considering what Obaseki has not done. Because we are practically revamping issues from sector to sector, from agri to education to ICT to road infrastructure to power, which is also one of the biggest issues right now, the Osimo and government issues that is going on in Edo State right now. Across all the sector, we are doing the government of Senator Monday Okpebholo is revamping. You know, if there was something to work upon, to add value to, it would have been a different narrative. There was nothing. So what he was promoting as his governance achievements were all fake. They could not hold water when the chips are down. For instance, you talk about the education. The Edo Best program was well applauded in theories. Even some state governors, I remember how the Lagos state governor sent some people to come and understudy the templates, you know, but they forget they should have also sent some people, though they are not in charge to review what he was doing or to appraise him, to also see what has been translated from the templates. Other state government came to take the template to their state, and they worked on it, and it's working in their states. Why we could not take it in Edo State beyond the templates? For example, you collected, the whole program was centered around the World Bank loan of $75 million. Because the World Bank loan was the capital needed to drive the template to reality. And you collected the $75 million, and the template could not translate to reality. In areas of, let me itemize them. You talked about educational infrastructure. You talk about writing materials for students, children in school, which includes the iPad, the digital aspect.
Right.
You talk about the training and research and development. You talked about building and reconstructing schools across, putting them, making the environment conducive for learning. And you talk about recruitment and training of teachers under the Edo Star. He created the Edo Star initiative to recruit teachers specifically for the Edo Best program.
Yes.
So all these things have measured. Today, Governor Monday Okpebholo is practically rearranging everything to the positives. Let's start from the teachers. The Edo Stars program, aspect of the Edo Best larger program, recruited about 5,000 teachers across the 18 local government of the states. And he told us that he has recruited these guys. They were graduates, NCs, HND, BSc. Rather, we never knew he engaged a consultant to put them on a contract. They were never civil servants. And they were being paid 39,000 naira. Edo Best, at the end of the day, you go to each school, you don't have regular teachers, and in each school are no more than 3, which include, at times you go to a particular secondary school or junior secondary school, you find the principal, the VP, and 1 teacher, who are regular teachers. What it means is those persons are directly in the payroll of government. Every other teacher in that school, they are on contract, collecting 39,000.
Which means they can be sent off at any time.
They are not entitled to any form of emolument. No pension, no health insurance, no regular insurance of any kind, no gratuity. They are not entitled to anything in this 21st century.
So we can even say the government does not recognize them.
Of course. And you did that for 4 years?
Yes, they are teaching in public schools.
Of course. And you did that for 4 years under a program that is being clapped for outside the states as Edo Best program. You know, one of the biggest, they said a non-motivated staff is a risk to the productivity of any organization. Does Edo Best, in its template, did Obaseki recognize the essence of productivity? If he knows the value of productivity, he will not recruit graduates as teachers, make their contract staff and be paying them $39,000, 39,000 naira. So let's go back to infrastructure. You see what Okpebholo is doing. The videos abound. Just let's start from some schools within the city. In your so-called Edo Best, Amide Junior Secondary School and Senior Secondary, you saw the whole place was turned to a refuse dump. Rodents were holding classes instead of human beings. Once our parents had taken their children off the schools, Amide Secondary is in the heart of Benin, Ikpoba local government, Ikpobahi, just by Ramat Park. What of the Junior and Senior Secondary School? In Uselu, that's the heart of Benin. You saw the videos. You saw what, if all these schools were like this, in state of squalor, what of some of the most Egba Grammar School? Phase 1, Phase 2, the 2 schools in Omo there. These are Benin. I'm not even talking of outside Benin. If you never primary school in St. Saviour, lots and lots of schools, the ones in Ologbo, Obia, these were schools that Okpebholo, in his 100 days, is embarked on constructing, revamping, and remodeling 100 schools. Poor infrastructure. They were in total dilapidation. Now you go back to the research aspect of the program, Edo-Best program. The research and development. You consulted it out to consultant, not even the teachers, not even the staff of SUBEB or Ministry of Education. Consultants were developing curriculum for a state they were not from. And they only them have the access password. Everything, according to him, was in digital. And today, as we speak, because even some of the teachers, you made them to give them iPads, some of them, that they can be making their write-up.
Electronically.
Yeah, electronically and what have you.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything wrong with that, really?
No, nobody is talking about some of them, which the ones with some selected schools within Benin, which he was using to show to the world. We're talking of 18 local governments. We're talking of more than 4,800 units of human poly units in Edo State. We're talking of 192 wards. You pick selected few to do propaganda so that the World Bank can give you money. When this money was coming in tranches. When they come to review, you select some teachers, maybe the ones that are directly employed by you. You deceive the other 5,000 that you gave them hope that after 2 years they are going to be absorbed into the system. Until 4 years, until he left power. As you speak today, the same research, the curriculum is being reversed to be in agreement with the UBEC standard, the federal government education, because you need to synchronize with the federal education policy.
Right.
And the clean went to town to be saying Obebolo is returning it back to analog. It does not want those teachers to be. No. They are talking of the content. The content are outdated. And those who created the curriculum, the content in the curriculum, they were not from the Ministry of Education. Most of them were the consultants he engaged from outside the state.
We understand that during his days in office as governor, one of the several things that Obaseki had achieved in office as the chief executive of the state was to automate the entire civil service. And that we understand right from day one when Okpebolo assumed office, he reversed all of that as well. Is that not a setback?
No. These are the things we need to clear.
So help us provide that
clarification. Talk about e-governance. E-procurement and e-governance.
Right.
How do you automate a system for civil service? Simple. The database of all the civil servants in Edo State is still very much intact. What Okpebolo is saying that the e-governance is being hosted by a consultant that is collecting 1.5 billion as consultancy fee every year. That is what the governor is saying. That how do you a critical ICT infrastructure of such nature, considering classified information of state governments and state policies, is being hosted by a private person in Lagos.
So what's Okpebolo's concern? Is it the sensitivity of the information of the data or the cost?
Both the sensitivity and the cost. And what he simply did is to reverse that, not reversing the system or the policy that we are returning to analog. No.
So is Edo State civil service automated?
Of course, very much automated.
Now domestically hosted.
Domestically hosted, not be hosted by outsiders. But when these decisions are taken, they go to town to preach something else. You can't be a digitalized criminal and you expect the world to be clapping for you. You are a criminal, whether you are digital or not digital.
But you can't call the former governor a criminal.
I'm not calling the former criminal. I'm trying to tell you.
Nobody has taken him to court on any charge right now.
Excuse me. I've not called him a criminal. I am indirectly telling you that most of his policy direction were criminally designed for selfish interests. I just gave.
So why has Governor Okpebolo not pressed charges?
These are what we are talking about. The Asset Verification Committee has met and done their report.
Right.
Then the government will take decision at the right time.
So the report is from the governor now.
Of course, it's been submitted. He will take a decision. And I keep telling you on this program, even before the elections, during the election, and after the election, I told you most of these policies and MOU were all shredded in secrecy, obscurity, profligacy, and outright looting of Edo State's money. If you can be using 1.5 billion to be renewing a consultancy arrangement with a private consultant in Lagos to be hosting e-governance for us, ICT software in Edo State, it's funny. That is to say the least.
I want us to talk about this report that you just mentioned, the passing now.
I think we should even be dwelling more, because the raging issue now is the Osoma debacle.
I'm going to get to that, because you have mentioned that severally on this program. Yes. But let's talk about the report now. When Oshomole took over office, 12th of November 2008, one of the first things he did in the days leading into his leadership, those Osadebe Avenue, was to set up an asset verification committee. So, of course, gentlemen like Hussaini Lama, the likes of Asem Ojeswa, they were all on that panel at the time. And we saw, for example, how a former general manager of Water Board came to that panel, sat in front of those men, and was literally shaking because of the heat of the questioning, the interrogation, the all of the engagements that happened. At the end of the day, this has been some 17 years down the line. That report has, at best, gathered dust at the government house in Benin. So, what's so special about a report like this one?
Excuse me. There's asset verification and recovery. When you recover the asset of government, that was the purpose of setting up the committee, first of all, was to recover what the government of Edo State have lost over time.
This instance one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even the former one. Every governor that comes wants to know the asset and liabilities on ground.
And they recover.
And they recover whatever they need to recover. That this belongs to the government, does not. So Oshomole, during his time, recover lands, recover properties of government that were either taken away. Even you also remember the governor, that the ousted governor that was ousted by the court then, Osubo, when it was being carried in the news that he returned some vehicles, the government officials, they have to return the asset and properties of government. If there was no verification, would that have happened? That is one of the basic reasons of setting up those asset verification committee. And in the case of His Excellency Senator Monday Okpebholo, he's done the same thing. And you saw the recovery. The recovery, there was even a committee for recovery. You saw how somebody was selling a car of 300 million, how Obaseki was selling for 750 million to his commissioners. You saw how you saw them now when they were returning those Land Cruisers, Lexus Jeep, 100, 200 something million, 100 something million. The record shows that it was auctioned by the governor for 750,000 naira.
Less than $1 million.
Yes, less than $1 million. A car that is less than 2 years old, brand new. They were selling it to themselves. They did not recover by the asset recovery committee, because the verification is to verify. They made their report submitted, and the recovery committee worked with the verification report to recover some of these assets. What of the Radissi Blue? The asset verification committee discovered that 22 billion, 17 billion in bonds, guaranteed bond of by Edo State government, and the balance of about 4.30 billion and more was seen direct payment from Edo State in the name of building Edo Tourism Hotel. After putting such weight of money, he went to sign another MOU with some consortium, Obaseki. Sign another MOU with some consortium who now had the franchise of Radissi Blue Hotel. And the total commitment, both the bond and the financial commitment, had a total of 22.something billion naira. And you now agree with the consortium that you are going to give both the whole investment, everything, both the property and what you have spent on it, to them at 10 billion naira. So Edo State value was now undervalued to 10 billion. Meanwhile, as a governor, an investment banker, a professional financial specialist, you are the one that incurred the investment of 22 billion. You now brought a consortium, you again undervalue your own investment to suit what the consortium can pay of 10 billion. Edo State was shortchanged of 12 billion. And in that regard, Edo State was now only like 5 to 10% stake, because if you sell at 10 billion, which he was at. So it was the asset verification committee, after some of us also petitioned, that discovered all that now resulted in converting the real value, the real market value, which is the 22 billion, after much analysis and negotiation, that Edo State should hold around 20 or 20% stake, not 5 to 10%.
The last couple of weeks, especially,
and I think I hold you that after the program, I'll give you a soft copy of the the asset verification.
That would be great. So
and then we are talking on. We still talk about the Oshomo.
So that our
it was still consummated.
So that our viewers can be better guided.
These are the wrong. These are the what people call legacy. I don't know how we define legacy. Though legacy comes in both positive and negative. Lawrence Anini had legacy in the Bender State, the then Bender State.
But let's talk about the last few weeks. More so the past couple of days. Oshomo has been on the news. Bigger than ever.
Yes.
One would have thought the Oshomo thing is a blessing as against becoming this chaotic as we have seen it to be in recent times. What exactly is the ownership status of Oshomo? Does the Edo State government have a stake, and how much of stake does it have?
These are the questions I'll be providing answers to. But before then, let me tell you something. The bane of our national development today, economically, politically, psychologically, socially, lies in the fact that we are having leaders across the divide, both in the corporate world, the bureaucratic world, which is civil service, and the political class. We are having leaders that lack sincerity of purpose. No matter how good, they said a vision without a defined mission is a tantalizing mirage. It's an illusion. And that is now back to Edo State. Everything we are analyzing here today, whether it's the Edo Best, whether it's this Oshomo, in the vision statements of Obaseki, they were so good and sweet that the whole world was clapping. It was bringing investment. We've not talked of Edo. Another day we'll talk about the Edo Industrial Park. Another day we'll talk about the Edo Inland Port.
The dry port.
The dry port. Another day we'll talk about the International Airport in Auchi. The other day we'll talk about the railway connecting from Okpila to Gelegele Seaport. Another day we'll talk about the seaport. Another day we'll talk about the Ologbo refinery. Are they working today? Because you have a vision, you lack a defined mission. Why you lack the defined mission? Because of your selfish interest. Because of criminal selfish interest. So coming to Oshomo, in 2008, Dr. Uwa Igeho, yeah, got a license after the attempt, the first phase of unbundling electricity in Nigeria by the federal government, where it was turned to PACN and others from NEPA. He got a license of power generation. He's an investment banker, a friend of Obaseki, based in Canada at that time. After the electricity roadmap of 2013, they were indirectly now coming to Nigeria to be across the corridors of powers. The Goodluck Jonathan administration and the Oshomole government in Edo State, of which Obaseki was the head of economic team.
Under
Oshomole.
Right.
So being Obaseki's friend, they were all in the corridors of power, but not holding position. Until Obaseki took over, he needed to activate the license. That is where they came up with the issue of the Oshomo power plant in Edo State. He had a license, but you need huge finance to build plant or power generating plant, especially where the goal is to not generate alone, but to also distribute. And then the Buhari administration opened up the system again further. Deregulated it that private people can now not only generate but distribute. Then what did Obaseki say to Edo State? He told Edo State that Edo State government was partnering to bring independent electricity power plant to Edo State. That was the idea. Everybody was praising him. He has achieved Oshomo this, Oshomo that. And he was jockeying around the whole globe looking for investors to partner with Oshomo to provide the finance and the technical support. Now, going to China with Edo State money, signing guarantees and MOUs. To us, he was signing on behalf of Edo State. We never knew he was signing on behalf of his friend, Dr. Waigeo. And that was how they met the Chinese company CTC of China. In 2017, between 2017 and 2018, they consummated a JV and a partnership deal. JV, joint ventures and partnership deal, of which fully Obaseki was there as the governor. plus the then commissioner, the SA to the governor of strategic media, Crusoe Osagie,
right,
was there to consummate that deal, and they were telling Edo State everybody was clapping for them. Even most of the media narrative was that Edo State was building a power plant called Osiomo. We never knew that with all the money he has spent in traveling to look for the investment, the land he provided for the project was not accounted for in Edo State. Does not have any stake in value, naira kobo to Edo State till as we speak. But that is not the issue. The issue is ownership. They had a joint venture with the Chinese company, and the Chinese company in the agreement owed 75%, while Osiomo bringing land and license had 45%. Under the Company and Alien Matter Decree of 1990 as amended Act of 1999, when you hold 45% stake in a company, automatically that company become yours. It's wholly owned. You understand?
right.
But this time around, a Chinese company is not just holding 45%, but 75%. They brought every plant and machinery and finance. And they started. How did Edo State government came into the whole plan? During the agreement, Edo State government said to encourage, they had what is called PPA, Power Purchase Agreement,
Right.
with the consortium of Osiomo and CCECTC. They signed that we are going to be your first buyer, 5 megawatts of electricity to power every government house or government institution in Edo State.
But we have to wrap this up in a minute.
Street lights. So to cut the long story short,
Right.
CCECTC own Osiomo PP1. IPP1, Integrated Power Plant 1, is owned by CCETC,
A Chinese firm.
which after they've accused Igihon Uwa and Osiomo of non-transparency, they've not read that account for 5 years, and they've wheeled out more than 4 kilowatts of electricity, but they could only provide records of 1.8 million kilowatts of electricity. So they, in September 1st, they turn off the plants and take it over by themselves.
This last September.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Edo State government opted out of the arrangement when they discover fraudulent activity that they were being overcharged. The Edo State government opted out ending of January 2025.
Under Governor Okpebholo.
Under Governor Okpebholo. They first of all renegotiated when we discovered they were charging per kilowatt, they were charging 248 naira per kilowatt. They now returned to 199. Of which we now later discovered that none of the ministries, agencies were meter independently. They went to fees, they went to mount like a plant in a government house, in a farmhouse, secretariat building there. A 5 kVA step down.
Right.
They were from there selling to individual Edo EDGs, because they also sell electricity to individual.
And that process was not also transparent.
That is their own. But what they were not doing at the end of the month, they use the KVA reading. Whatever the KVA reads, which include both the consumption of private individual and government, they shift the whole bill to Edo State government.
Okay, I'm afraid because of time, this issue is still on. I think our viewers will be very interested, apparently, in that report, and then more so this Osiomo issue, because it has to do with power, and that's something that touches every Nigerian, whether in Edo State or anywhere around this country. But I'd like to say a big thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
Haruna Braimoh, for coming as always to honor us with your time and your expertise here.